So let's move on. How to get rich in crypto. I am dying to learn more about that.
Rich in crypto, it's not gonna be by buying like these top 10 altcoins. That's your
That so far is correct. I would say the correct advice would be how to get rich in crypto. Don't invest in it and find proper asset classes, but that's a different story.
Bitcoin, your Ethereum, XRP, Chainlink, Polkadot, etc. The way you're really going to make a lot of money in this industry is by diversifying into a lot of smaller chip projects. Now, everybody's going to be different, guys. And this is coming from somebody that makes multi six figures in this industry and has been in crypto for multiple cycles. So these are kind of the tips and the advice I can give if you're really trying to get into crypto to not necessarily get rich quick.
I like it how everyone who is giving financial advice starts out with a claim of how much money they are making instead of just showing their work and therefore letting people judge by themselves. As I said in the previous video, judge by the results and not by what people are saying. Let's listen 30 more seconds and then it's, I think, already a wrap with that video because I know where he's going and I don't like it at all.
But definitely make a decent amount of money. So tip number one, okay, if you are here just to kind of hedge yourself against inflation, to have a store of value that you want to appreciate for the longer term, that is going to be Bitcoin. That is what you're going to choose. Maybe some of your top 10 projects, and you're going to look to really just dollar cost average into those assets. But if you're someone that's more than likely 17 to 25 years old, which is a lot of my audience, it's younger investors that, are kind of just risking a little bit more. They're not too worried about getting a 401k or investing into these ETF funds and having a 30, 40, 50-year outlook on their investments and compounding that. They're looking to make a quick bag. So
And that's the whole problem with the audience that he's trying to appeal to. I'm not even going to mock him for not being able to use terminology correctly, like hedging, for instance. I'm just stating the obvious here. If you are suggesting that a asset class like Bitcoin or generally speaking cryptocurrency is a hedge against inflation, then that is in itself already an incorrect statement. If something would be a hedge against it, there would be nominal real value behind it. And therefore, even if the currency depreciates, you would still have that nominal value. Something where you can see that very well are typically actual resources, so commodities, or real estate as an example, where you do have collateral, actual physical means that people could use, even though there wouldn't be money in the current instance. So that in itself is already incorrect. He doesn't know the basics. Secondly, he's even admitting that he's looking to garner to an audience of 17 to 25-year-old people that want to make a quick bag and therefore become ultra rich. And he's suggesting that he had already done that. Of course, not with core selling or anything else, but simply by the virtue of investing. And he's even suggesting to invest in small projects. The only reason why people are making money in small projects is because they do have some sort of an advantage, as in insider trading info, and they are part of rug pulling teams that are fooling other investors into investing into an altcoin, and then they are taking out the money. And these rug pulls are as old as time. It has worked before the SEC and other regulations have controlled the access to equity in a broad scheme. And to a degree, insider trading is even a problem with that asset class to this very day. So let's not pretend that that wouldn't happen. But it is definitely not near as prevalent as it is in this market. So him suggesting that you can make a quick buck out of it by just taking ultra high risks is again mixing up probability with potential behind it. And while it is potentially true that you can find an altcoin and time the market so optimal that you are buying in from the start, immediately are selling at the peak, and therefore are making 300 times your initial investment. That technically could work, but it will not work reliably and it will not work all the time. It is as if you would suggest go into a casino, put everything on black, and you have a 49% chance or 49.5% chance to double, then you just leave it on black after that, and you have a 24.25% chance of quadrupling it, and then you continue that 12% chance, and then 6% chance, and 3% chance, and you voluntarily leave out the fact that the chance is always getting approximately half of the size, and you're just doubling the income. So you're ending up with a claim like you can 100x your income by just going into the casino and put everything on black and just wait for it to win 8 times in a row. And then you get 256 times your initial investment. And this is just statistically unlikely. So it is not probable that that is going to happen. And I find it funny that they are building up like all of these semi-professional environments and are talking about cryptocurrencies as if that would be an asset class that for the large majority of people could be easily investable. Listen, you can have your own opinion about cryptocurrency, but if we're talking about likelihood of becoming a wealthy person, then unless you are timing the market incredibly well, or you would have been one of the early adopters of Bitcoin back in the days and have already made a substantial income with it by selling it, you are basically following the greater fool's principle, which is I do have something that is worth whatever someone believes it is worth, and I'm just finding a greater fool to sell it towards. And we've seen that in history so and so many times. The first time that it happened, I think, were the Dutch tulps in the 16th and 17th century, where people were just obsessed and they became more and more expensive as every year passed. And then all of a sudden the bubble bursted and people realized, you know what, it's not worth that much. And the same will happen with cryptocurrency because there is simply no underlying collateral. Will it happen in 1 year or the next 5 years? It's hard to tell, but fundamentally speaking, the idea that there is an independent currency that will work outside of the Federal Reserves or other large banks is not realistic. That will not happen because that's a monopoly that states are not willing to give up, and I don't see any period in time where that is going to happen. Let's not even go into the whole claim that it is going to be more stable than actual currency because it is ultra volatile to begin with, and also the claim that it hedges against inflation is factually untrue. So many of the things that the crypto bros are saying are just the same script that they have copied over and over and over. They listen to 5 or 6 other people. Then the next generation of young potential core sellers is emerging. They start with an outrageous claim. You can make that and that amount of money. I'm making hundreds of millions every week, but I'm still on TikTok telling you how to invest. This is just absolute bonkers. And it is by no means a reliable investment strategy. If you're listening to that and you're losing money, the only thing that you should ask yourself is, why have I been so impressionable and listened to a person that clearly doesn't know what they're talking about? That's it for today. Thanks a lot for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. And if you do have any comments, then leave them below.